it's not a good idea to say things that you know not to be true. And I would say, by the way, as a practical issue, it's also a worse idea to write things that you don't think are true. Because, you know, your mind is organized at the highest level of abstraction in language. And it's important that your mind is organized, because if you're not organized, then you're disorganized, and then things don't go well for you in the world, just like they don't go well for anything that's disorganized. And so you have to be very careful with what you say and what you write, writing especially, because it's focused speaking, it's focused speech, right? It takes more intense thinking. So in some sense, writing is even deeper than speaking. But you don't want to speak things that you believe to be untrue, and you certainly don't want to write them, because that changes you, and it changes you in the direction of the deception that you're undertaking while you do the speaking or the writing. And you might think, nah, I can write whatever I want and I can just leave it be, but that's not true. And the reason for that, in part, is because your knowledge is shallow. And so if you take rather shallow knowledge and then you write something detailed that's false, you end up convincing yourself in all sorts of ways that you don't even notice that what you wrote that was a lie was true. And then you're stuck with that. And it's not stuck with it psychologically exactly, although it's also that. It's stuck with it neurologically, because when you learn things and you make new connections, you change the structure of your brain, and then that's that. I mean, you know, it's plastic to some degree, but you're messing around with your psychophysiology, and that's a bad idea. And you know it's a bad idea because you kind of know, like everybody knows, that if you want to get through the world, if you want to get from point A to point B, if you want to get to wherever you're going, it'd be good to have a map. And it'd probably be good to have a map that isn't full of holes and errors, because otherwise you're not going to get to where you're going. You might not even know where you are to begin with. And that seems like a bad plan if you're going to undertake a journey, and you are going to undertake a journey because your life is a journey. So pathologize your speech, then you pathologize the systems that guide you, and then if you pathologize it by introducing material that you know to be untrue, then you distort and warp and pathologize the very structure, the very feeling that you need to place yourself firmly in the world. And then you can't rely on yourself. So in Genesis, the personality is logos, and it's something like truthful courage and communicative ability, all amalgamated. It's something like that. So, and it's a lesson. It's like, okay, there's the potential. What are you supposed to do with it? Well, there you are, ready to confront it. How do you confront it? With truth and courage. And then you transform it into what exists. You take the potential and you transform it into being itself. That's your job. In Genesis, when God does this repeatedly, he says something repeatedly. He says, after each day of doing this, and it was good. I mean, and it's repeated, so it's like it means something. It's repeated. And what does it mean? If you confront potential with truth and courage, then what you produce is good. Well, so that's a good thing to know if you want to produce what's good. It's like confront the potential with truth and courage, and what you produce is good. Great. So that's a nice thing to know. It's a fundamental ethical axiom, and it's sort of predicated on faith. It's not easy to be courageous, and it's not easy to tell the truth. But the theory is if you manage both of those in the face of potential, then what you do is you produce out of potential what is good.